Hi there, everybody. Alexi Balian here. I'm going to take a couple minutes here and talk about character posing. And for Skills Ontario and Skills Canada, we've implemented a pose test. And you may wonder why we're doing this. Well, a couple things. You can go to my, let's see here, character posing here, and you'll get this file for yourself to download. And I go through the whole, I kind of explain why we pose. But one of the principles of animation is pose to pose and straight ahead animation. In those posing methods and the animation methods, we try to create strong poses that communicate a certain message, right? So what I'm going to do is kind of go through my notes with you guys for a bit. So for example, if we look at this character right now, standing in a neutral pose, but leaning to the right a bit, and there's an S curve in here. So it's not an upright, it's not a stiff character like this. So you can see this is boring, this is more interesting, right? Here's a character over here, but different poses make it interesting. Okay, so the idea is if you can make every frame of your shot, your key poses strong, and it communicates an intent, an emotion, a direction, you're on your way to animation. Now, this idea of creating a pose test technically is to push your the rig's limits. For example, if I'm in Maya here and I have this character, I'm going to put his nerve curves on. Okay, so the controllers basically. Okay, here's a boxing stance. Okay, now if I look on the side here view, there's a curve going on. Now I could have taken these three curves and pressed E and could have had him upright. Okay, and then the shoulders turn. So that's more of a stiff pose. Okay, but in this way, it's kind of a C curve here. Looks like the character is more engaged. If you look in the front, it looks strong. You look on the side, and it's a good curve. And my intent is there. Like there's balance here. Okay, both feet are out, knees. To me, this is a decent pose to start my punch sequence. Was this a punch or a kick? Okay, so this is a kick. All right, so for me, it doesn't matter. But a couple things that animators do. Like you can animate and create a pose to the camera, or game animation. That's in feature. You can kind of hide. You can basically cheat. If this looks okay like this, and that's okay. That's your shot. But in game animation, animators have to make sure that the pose is working in all 360 basically. So what I've done here, look, there's a curve going this way, leaning to one side, as opposed to, again, if I press Q here, select this the controller for the back, I could have had this character E rotate, could have had him upright and stiff, and right now, or I can have him on this angle, okay? But I had him that way for a reason. I could have had him stiff, but I decided not to. I had a curve there. So I'm checking all my angles, and this is looking somewhat okay. So you need a strong silhouette at the end of the day, okay? And if your character reads in the dark, then you've done something interesting. Let me hide this for a second. There are curves. So pose test is asked from you guys. So you kind of get a sense of posing, and from pose to pose, maybe your character, here's an example of the character tucking his knees up, basically, tucking to chest on his way to a kick. Okay, so you just go boom, and here's my extended view. There's my kick. So right there, that looks like a side kick to me, pretty high. But that works, okay? So I'm working on my poses, but technically it's like you're looking at a character in a comic book, frame by frame. If each one of those frames convey information, you've done your part, okay? I'm just going to come back to the beginning. It doesn't matter about boxing, kicking, or acting with dialogue. This character has to read, okay? So if we go back to my notes down here, you can see what I've said is posing is good to clarify what the character is doing or feeling, line of action, strong line of action, a strong silhouette, and also you have to incorporate weight and balance, okay? So let's look at this pose here. This guy goes, hey, what on earth is that? This is from Animator Island. Really cool. I challenge you to a duel. But if you look at these poses here, they're stronger than what this is. This could be anything, but they're okay. For high school, this is pretty awesome. But if you look at this, that looks pretty amazing. So that, to me, is a stronger pose, and so on. So a couple things we do at animation schools is before students start to animate, we get them to do individual poses because, eventually pose to pose, your actions change. If each action has a strong silhouette, good line of action, we're on our way, right? So here, again, boring, better. These are good poses. Here's a strong silhouette. One, not really. I can't tell what this guy's doing. The drawing's nice, but look at the difference here. Aha. So you see here on this side view, you can see that there's something being poured down this gigantic opening, and that looks a lot more striking than this one. So you've communicated your idea, okay? So in the old Disney days, here's some examples of drawings of people with strong line of action. Okay, line of action, contrast from one to the other, C, reverse C, all that is important in your posing. So we're asking everybody to do that in order to kind of help them along in their animations. Okay, that's kind of the message here. Okay, it doesn't matter if I'm having this character here or any other character. Kind of look around and see if you can have some interesting movements going on. This is kind of cool here. This is turning this way. So whatever, okay? So it's up to you. I can put on a dialogue shot here, and I have to make sure that each pose, key frame, a golden pose, these are confusing terms, but each one of your poses reads well. So that's one of the challenges that we expect people to do. Okay, I hope this short kind of, here, you know what? I'll even show you this here. Let me minimize that. My website. Here's an example at the end. So if I ask my students to create joy, this is my example of joy. So what I've done is I've actually have this guy skipping or hopping over a field. Maybe I'm imagining there's a nice curve here, a strong silhouette, and I say joy. Okay, so that's interpreted a certain way. So this is essentially your pose test. You can do this in 2D or 3D. It's up to you, depending on the competition you're in. And this is expected from most students prior to animating any movement. Okay. And let's see, one of these ones, I also have some images. I sometimes ask. I downloaded from the internet. This is through my other instructor, Chris. He downloaded these. And, these are simple poses, line of action. Look at despair, despair, despair. All three of these are despair. But if one has a stronger silhouette, that reads better. Joy, 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 all these. So it's up to you guys. You can download a bunch of images, get yourself into it, okay? And lastly, if I go back here, some of the emotions that I'd ask in the past from my students in grade 11, happiness, sad, tired, angry, scared, confident, that kind of thing. So you pick one or two and you apply it, okay? And then you go from one emotion to another. So that's kind of a pose to another pose. So you change your character from this to excitement, from this to confident, from this to pain. How does that look? Okay, I think I've spoken enough here. This should help people to understand why we're doing this, and I'll end in this shot down here. Pardon me for a second, right here. Okay, so your job is to create in the first couple hours, an hour of the contest, the challenge, either at provincials or your school board or nationals, is to create a strong pose. Doesn't matter if you're in 2D or 3D, and this one here reads well. We have it with lights and without lights, strong silhouette. Okay, I think this may help. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, give us people on the chairs an email, and we'll talk accordingly. Okay, thank you. I hope I recorded this. Yes, I did. All right, bye-bye. Balian out.